friends, this one is gonna be an adventure. So if you're new here, I have been helping my little brother renovate his first house, and today we have the really big task of turning this tiny entryway into not just an entryway, but a hangout spot, a hobby spot, an indoor garden, and a functioning sunroom. And did I mention that I only have 1 weekend to do it and I'm on a tight budget because they're looking for very simple, easy upgrades? Yeah, this one is gonna be fun. So friends, let's get started. Listen, I don't mean to brag, but weekend projects are kind of my jam. I mean, if you don't know me yet, I started my channel when I had a very unrelated full-time career, and most of the projects on my channel were weekend projects where I was building things or renovating spaces in a weekend, and typically they were small spaces and I was on a tight budget, so this is just like the trifecta of projects for me, and I'm really, really excited to tackle this with you. I know I just started, but I already want to order lunch. I'm hungry. Well, that was easy. Love when that happens. Okay, demo's done. That was easy. I'll worry about those later because I'm replacing them, so cool. Let's patch some holes. If you're in a rush like I always am, this is like literally the best stuff ever. I know they're not sponsoring this video, but I literally cannot recommend this enough. It's DAP Fast Dry. It's ready in 15 minutes. It's the best. Since I've been doing a lot of big projects on the channel recently, I do get a lot of questions about ideas for smaller spaces on a budget that don't really require a full reno. So I'm gonna spend a lot of time in this video talking about ideas for projects just like that. And we're gonna definitely do that, especially after I take a lunch break, which I took pretty much immediately as soon as I started this project. What is wrong with me? Oh, perfect timing, my lunch is here. So I'm gonna eat lunch, and then by the time I'm done with lunch, just be ready for sanding. This color ain't that much different. All right, I promised some easy updates. Let's talk about it. First up is paint. This color literally on camera looks absolutely no different than the color that was already there, but it's more of like a creamier white in like the neutrally beigey tones. I don't know. It looked really different in person. Trust me on this one, okay? But for real, painting is like the easiest way to update a space, and it's really not that expensive. I think, you know, a gallon of paint is somewhere between like $25 and $35. And if you're working in a small space, you might only need 1 gallon, and it really makes a huge impact. Wait, I'm trying not to break these. I know I don't want to break it because I want to put it in your bathroom. I'm trying not to break all your stuff. We're on a budget. I'm not trying to break things. So I love to salvage materials when I can, but I actually took these down because it's a sunroom and they're going to be using it as an indoor garden, and we want maximum amount of sunlight in here. So I did take down all of the shades, and I'm going to be installing them in a different room for them so they don't have to buy new shades for that other room. Furbo is telling on my dog. I just got an alert that says, "Your pet is standing on the couch." Now he's sleeping. Thanks for tattletaling on my dog. Okay, so originally I wasn't gonna paint the ceiling because the ceiling was in decent shape, but this room is really small. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm only 5'1", which means that the ceiling in this part is like maybe 7 feet. I don't even think it was an actual true 7-foot tall ceiling. I think it was like 6.5. So sometimes a little trick that you can use is painting the ceiling the same exact color as your walls, because it basically tricks the eye to look up towards the ceiling and it makes the space feel a lot taller. It's the same trick I used in my guest room, which also has some lower ceilings, and it's just an easy little hack. And keeping with the theme of making this room feel way taller than it actually is, I had a super simple project idea for the ceiling in this space that is actually very simple if you have the right tools. We're going to be tackling that next though, so check it out. I am currently in the downstairs of my brother's house. I don't know if you remember last time I showed you the space. I surprised him with the bedroom makeover. Go check it out. I'll link it below this video. But it was like we demoed this space in that video, and it looks so different. But anyway, it's clearly like a hot mess down here. It's a combination of storage and workshop space. Speaking of, I have to go into this dungeon of a future bathroom and use the saw because this is where my dad and I have a lot of our tools set up. So I'm gonna do that before the sun goes down because there's no light in that room. And then we'll meet back upstairs where we'll install them. I'm feeling really excited about this. Okay, well, I just need the flashlight mostly, but this is like the most Blair Witch-ish I've ever done in any video. Who even knows we're gonna get any footage out of this, but welcome to the horror show that is DIY Hunters right now. This might be the sketchiest workstation I've ever worked in. And that's saying a lot because I've worked in some sketchy places. Also, this is like the real right now. DIY looks so glamorous sometimes online, but when you're working on job sites, not all glam. Nothing makes you appreciate a garage workshop more than having to work in a sketchy basement, but like this brings back memories of working with my dad on job sites because this is what it looked like every time I had to do work with him. But anyway, as you can see, those boards I was cutting, they had grooves cut on the inside. I was kind of bouncing back and forth between the table saw and the sketchy cutting room. So I just figured it was easier to put this all into a cohesive thing. But basically I used my table saw to cut grooves into the bottom of each one of these 1x3 boards and then cut them to size on the miter saw. And where these grooves are gonna do is they are going to go over the existing beams in the ceiling in the sunroom. That's nice. Is this the right way?
I don't know. You tell me. I can't see with these glasses on.
It's going in on that side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that side's okay. All right, let's tack it in on that side. All right, last one.
Don't staple me.
Well, I can't because it's a nail gun.
Thank you.
Woo! Woo! Watch your fingers. Oh. Yeah! High five. High five.
Thanks for not stapling it.
So while the grooves were cut big enough to go over the existing beams, I'm doing air quotes like you guys can see me right now, beams in the ceiling, I decided to stain them. I probably should have done this before hanging them, but I knew I was doing touch-up paint anyway after this, so it really wasn't a big deal. And we're going to be caulking all the edges at some point in this project too to make everything look nice and neat, but it's wild the change that just adding a bunch of wood boards to a ceiling made in this entire space. And honestly, if you don't have existing beams to go over, you could just literally nail beams like this into the ceiling without cutting grooves into them. It's like the simplest DIY project ever, to be honest, and it makes a big impact. All right, beams are up. I probably should have stained them before putting them on the ceiling, but I use water-based stains so I can cover them with paint. So I'm just gonna do one more coat of paint for the night, and then we'll be back tomorrow to finish this, hopefully. You guys have homework.
Which was that?
Oh, they already forgot. What's your homework?
Build up all the furniture.
But yes, you guys are gonna build the furniture.
Yeah.
I'll be back to finish this 2-day project. Let's do it.
I can't wait.
High five. Yeah. High five. All right, bye. Bye. All right, we're back. So Rob and Marina followed through. They got their homework assignment done. They assembled their benches. It's very tight in here, so I'm gonna have to play around with the layout and see what we can do here to make this just feel big, but still feel functional. So yeah, there's a lot to do. I got my partner in crime here today with his little hoodie on. I gotta do some work on the ceiling, get some curtains up, do some cleaning, make this place look pretty, and hopefully call it a project. Nice little weekend refresh, so let's do it. Let's do it. So another little change that makes a huge impact is changing out lighting fixtures. If this is something you're not comfortable with, definitely ask for help for this from someone who's changed out lighting fixtures before. For me, I've been doing this since I was a teenager with my dad, so it is like a simpler task for me. But yeah, changing out lighting is a huge game changer for a space. But anyway, as you can see, I did caulking, touch-up paint, lighting. Now it's time for decor, and this is always the hardest part for me, especially in a small space, because you gotta get really creative, and they want a lot out of this space. They want a sunroom, a gardening space, a hobby space, a hangout spot. They want to drink their coffee here. It needs to be an entryway. There's a big ask here, and so I tried to keep it as minimal as possible to
still have space to function in here, but also wanted to make it aesthetically pleasing because this is the first thing you see when you walk into their house. And in terms of having to get creative about the layout, I actually opted for one potting bench and a small bench that they can sit at and have coffee at, or just like put their shoes on. And I don't know, I feel like for a weekend of work, this space turned out so freaking cute. Projects like this are a solid reminder that you don't need a lot of time, a lot of space, a big budget, or a lot of tools to get a room done and to make it look cozy and cute and aesthetic. Hey, if it wasn't for those grooves in the ceiling, I didn't even need a table saw for this project, so like, come on. Also, this was not a surprise. Rob and Marina were there every step of the way. They're absolutely thrilled with how this space turned out, and I hope that you guys love it as much as they do. And if so, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell, and let me know if you want to see some more easy weekend projects like this one, because I really love a good weekend project. But until then, friends, on to the next project, and happy DIYing.